Tradition. You can't buy it. It's earned the hard way over decades and eras. On the field, on the road, in the mud. With guts and with grit, and firm belief that today could be our day. The Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup is back. Still alive, still kicking, the oldest prize in American soccer. 96 teams, part-timers to major leaguers. Survive and move on, lose and you go home. So we call all underdogs, dreamers and believers. And we ask you again, one simple question. Are you up for the cup?
Just 8 spots are left to fight for in round 1 of the U.S. Open Cup. South Georgia Tormenta of the USL League One are set to take on Harbor City FC of the UPSL. Alongside Casey White, I'm Jack Edwards here with you in the broadcast booth in Statesboro, Georgia. These two teams entering this one, 3rd division side, Tormenta taking on an open division side in Harbor City FC. First off for Tormenta, they've been now in the 6th U.S. Open Cup appearance since Ian Cameron has come in, now in his 5th season at the helm. They have had some really good finishes, always winning their first match, falling to Inter Miami, Charlotte FC, and the Charleston Battery in his 3 seasons that he's had Open Cup matches. So they've had good success in these initial matches. We'll see what test Harbor City can try and put up against them. A side coming in from the United Premier Soccer League in the Florida Central Zone based in Melbourne, Florida. They got into this competition via the open qualification, defeating FC America after a penalty shootout following a scoreless draw. And they have the man in their lineup today who was the hero in that match, Bryce Notar Donato. He saved the decisive penalty in that shootout, Casey. And he's the first name now on the team sheet for Harbor City FC as we look at the lineups for these two groups, Tormenta and Harbor City.
And having a goalkeeper who could step up and be in really good form is going to be important for Harbor City, but also just as important is going to be Leighton in that center back role. He'll be the captain here this evening. He'll have to keep everyone organized for Harbor City. On the flip side for South Georgia Tormenta, they'll come out in a 4-3-3. Mason Tunbridge is in very good form right now, and they'll also look for Taylor Gray to create a lot of opportunities going forward for them.
The lineups for these two teams. Excited to see where this one ends up playing out. South Georgia Tormenta have played 2 regular season matches in the USL League One so far, earning 3 points with a win and a defeat up to this point. A win in their last match out against AV Alta, while Harbor City are looking ahead to some regular season games that come up after this one, a first one on the 23rd of March against Idea Sport. The two teams in the center circle right after the national anthem. And Casey, this is going to be an interesting matchup between these two teams. Tormenta have had some success in past years, and talking to Ian Cameron before this game, he mentioned the 2022 run where they had some really competitive games against Charleston, Birmingham, and then falling to Inter Miami. And that was, of course, the year they eventually went on to become champions of the USL League One, and just the foundational role it played in their season in 2022.
Well, and that can be really important because you can use moments like that as a catalyst for your improvement and your form and your confidence and everything. So having those runs really important and just galvanizing the group. And so things like today and these kind of matchups, really important for these teams, and they always look forward to it because it's always an exciting time.
Always an exciting time. We've seen a few cup sets to this point between all sides in the U.S. Open Cup. There will be 7 matches here today, with 1 match moved to Friday. Flatirons Rush will take on another USL League One side in Union Omaha. Those Buhos going on the road to try and get their spot in the second round going. These teams playing for the right to play against each other. No new teams added in round 2. Winners will be playing against each other before we get some more sides from the USL Championship. Yesterday, probably the signature match being the Little Rock Rangers of Arkansas taking down the Birmingham Legion 1-0. And for Tormenta, as you see a group there for Harbor City, they're going to want to avoid becoming another side that's been cup set so far this year.
And how fun is that? That's what's exciting about the Open Cup. I love it. I love seeing things like that, and I'm sure those teams that are heavily favored aren't going to like hearing that, but that's what makes it exciting for fans to be able to watch that. There's always an opportunity. That's what's so great about football. On any given day, anyone can win.
on any given day. Harbor City making the about 5-hour drive up, mostly up I-95 on the east side of Florida, heading up from Melbourne to Statesboro, Georgia. South Georgia Tormenta, Ian Cameron mentioning they want to play an MLS team. They want to be able to get that experience against the top flight in America, but they have to earn that right. They can't overlook their opponents here today as the two teams are breaking out on the field. White kits left side of your screen are South Georgia Tormenta. A third competitive match of 2025 so far. 1-1 fell on the other. All three have been at home, and they'll get things going, adding from left to right. Jack Edwards and Casey White here in the broadcast booth. Early touches moving into this one. It's Connor Doyle rolling it back. Mentioned Notar Donato, Bryce Notar Donato, that is, in the net for Harbor City. Austin Pack, a very experienced goalkeeper for South Georgia Tormenta, coming in after 3 years with the Independents, was League One Goalkeeper of the Year in 2023, and if it's to go to a shootout, you'd feel confident. A man like Pack, mentioned the credentials though of Notar Donato as well. We'll see where the match ends up playing out, but a pair of goalkeepers very adept for the occasion. There's Callum Stretch. Good touch there from Taylor Gray to get past his opponent. Weighing options, he'll clip one into the box. Able to be scraped away. Flicked along there by Snell. Reed. Core keeps that in play. Was that a push from behind? It was. It's a first foul of the match and a free kick inside their own half for Harbor City. Three matches back in the fall for Harbor City to get to the Open Cup. A 4-0 win against Deportivo, a 5-1 win against Palm Beach, and then scoreless in the final match, went to a shootout, and that was the decisive moment. A team that had eliminated them the year prior, able to get some revenge, get themselves to the Open Cup.
And that's certainly not something they're thinking about now, but it's nice to have that experience of being able to go into the extra time, go into the penalties, and come out on the victorious side. That just helps you know when you come into games like this, if you can stay in games, you know you've been in those pressure moments, and you expect that from the professional side, but that they were able to get it as well is helpful.
Of the 11 that started that game back in December against FC America, 6 are in the starting lineup and 2 are on the bench. So it's always the test. The teams that are most likely to pull off a cup set, Casey, are often those that have good carryover, despite sometimes odd calendars based on when these first-round matches fall.
Well, you can always get talent onto a roster and add it in, but experience is really hard to come by in those types of moments, and just that investment into going into it to make sure you've qualified.
Jonathan Nianjo gets it to the end line, trying to play this one into the box. It's kicked up and away by Leighton, the captain. Ian Leighton wearing the number 2, Samuel Leighton wearing the number 16. Bryce Notar Donato wearing the number 1. Derek Notar Donato, who's on the bench, wearing the number 17. Rolled along, Stretch a far option as Tunbridge gets onto it. Stretch, Gray holding some width. Trying to slide one centrally, it's pushed away. I mentioned Mason Tunbridge there just a moment ago. He's got 2 goals so far this season. Scored a brace in the first match against Richmond. Yaniv Bassini, who's on the bench, has scored the other 2 goals of Richmond's season. A brace himself as well. A great ball in, but the offside flag goes up. Free kick for Harbor City inside their own 18-yard box.
Well, I like that. There's a little bit of unpredictability. You saw on the opposite side going in line, trying to make something happen was Nianjo, and then this is an early service in. So that unpredictability can really make it hard to defend against because there's just some variance to the way in which they're trying to get those box entries in the final third.
Notar Donato launches this one forward. A header won there by Gabriel Alves. Left back coming off a year with Rhode Island in the USL Championship. Made one appearance in the Open Cup. A thrilling Open Cup match for Rhode Island last year. A 4-all draw after 120 minutes. Went to a shootout, 9-8 shootout that went the way in the end of the Independents. Austin Pack, who's in net, was on the other side of things in that shootout. Seeing the Victoria side, that was a more dramatic cup sets in last year's competition. First time played forward. The header nodded down, right on this near side. Reid Nascimento able to keep it in play and keep his run going up against Stretch and Prepelita. He was sealed off by the center back, and his questions of a free kick unanswered. Poor pass there, turned over. Opportunity for Carr. Now Madden. Pocket space there was Nascimento, not able to be picked out. Sebastian Vivas leading the line for South Georgia Tormenta. Prepelita in the end will kick that one over his head to Gray, who brings it down. And a chance to drive at the defense for Tunbridge. Only went forward, a miscommunication there between him and Vivas. Strikers press forces an errant ball. Walker, his pass overhit as well.
But those moments we just saw in transition are what's going to be really hard for Harbor City. If they're going to get more numbers forward, someone's going to have to stay in front of that back line, because the transition piece automatically is going to open up for Tormenta.
Doug Bonney, the coach for this Harbor City FC group, trying to get their 2025 going with a bang. A few headers. That one pushed out wide. In the end, Reid didn't have an option to play to, and Nyanjo with the throw will give it over to Alves, who will in turn give it back to Nyanjo. Trying the switch, but he only hit the side of his fellow teammate Connor Doyle. Vivas rolled forward aiming for Nyanjo, but it runs out of play. Goal kick now coming for Harbor City. Keep you updated with scores elsewhere across the U.S. Open Cup. Portland Hearts of Pines off to a great start in their first ever match. A 2-0 lead through 35 minutes. The only goals through our first 4 games that have gotten live here. Appreciate you joining us on this Thursday night, day 3 of 4 in the U.S. Open Cup first round. Thrown back in, but it arcs out of play. Pack.
And Harbor City is starting their line of confrontation a little higher than I pretty much expected coming into this game. I mean, they're pressing high. They're not sitting in a mid-block by any means, and trying to dispossess out of the back. So we'll see if they can keep it tight between the lines as Tormenta tries to build out.
Here's Nair. Walker returns to the center back. First time ball, picks out Tunbridge, who can play a nice pass that lets this one get now moved out to Nyanjo. Driving at the defender. Pass unable to find its intended target. Now 3 in black able to drive forward. A lot in white still in the area, and the man in red, Austin Pack, will get it, the goalkeeper. Stretch. To Nair. Gray returns to Stretch.
I like the patience so far from Tormenta. There's a really good organized block defending, and this is what you have to do. You just have to move the ball side to side, enjoy the ball retention piece, really important in a game like this, to take care of it, because that goal may not come right away, but if you keep the ball a lot, you can move defenders, and they can eventually potentially fatigue in the second half.
Gray slicing one forward, Nyanjo in the area. It's cleared away, dealt with by Leighton. Both teams appealing for it. Goes the way of the Floridian club. Ian Leighton with the throw. Gray, touch in. Bit of physicality from Madden, and the touch rolls out of play. Robert Madden, this left back role. 5 seasons with Harbor City, experienced fullback. He puts a challenge in again there to concede a throw. 27 years of age, Madden, and they'll lean on his experience in the effort to try and provide a bit of surprise against Tormenta. Nair. Rolled along. Vivas gets a toe in first. A few bodies going down. Vivas comes away with the ball. Referee letting play continue. Clipped outside. Stretch just clips one. That's Tunbridge, rather. Skips past one challenger, driving into the midfield. His pass blocked. Gray can't get the challenge in back. Nascimento, he gets there first. Referee is going to pull it back, was going to let the outcome of that pass be resolved and given away, so the free kick given.
It's the right call in that moment. See what happens with the run of play. Nothing came from it. Bring it back. But what I like from Tormenta is they are pressing right away. The counter press is really good. That foul occurs right there in that moment. It's Walker stepping in pretty hard on that challenge, and then it'll be brought back. But Tormenta looks like they want to try to dispossess Harbor City in their defending third. And so immediately on the loss of possession, you see 2 or 3 players surrounding the ball.
Longtime Greenville man, Aaron Walker. 5 appearances in the U.S. Open Cup. 34 years of age now, the midfielder from Georgia. Year number 2 with the Georgia club, Statesboro. Here's Pack. Nair. First appearance for his new side for Nair at center back. Coming in from LAFC 2 at the MLS Next Pro level. 12 appearances in 2024 out west. Stretch. Can roll one forward. A good foot put in by Madden to block the pass to Gray. No whistle, just a signal for a throw-in.
But I think we'll see here where Tormenta is going to keep players higher, try and make sure that no one can get out of this end. If they can do that without committing the foul, I think it can be incredibly effective because they've done really well in their organization and pursuit of the ball.
There's Gray, who takes over after the throw-in, and Preppa leads it back to Pack. They have done a good job in winning the ball, recycling possession.
And what they're doing, they did it in their last stretch of possession. They're doing it now. It's probing, too. They're not forcing that they have to go forward necessarily right away unless it's on.
They will try that one for Tunbridge. That was probably a situation where it was on into that channel a bit of space, but 70% possession now.
That's just a lack of the technical execution piece in that moment, but it's the right decision tactically because of the space that was being provided to them. But between the lines, Harbor City is defending in a 4-4-2, and they keep probing centrally so they can then open up the wide spaces. And I've been impressed with just how relaxed they look in possession, but it's still quite sharp.
13 minutes down. No major chance for either team as of yet. Probing, definitely the word of the early stages of the match, feeling each other out. That one's rolled into the channel, into the feet of Collins. Trey Collins working an angle, firing one into the box. It might sit up. A brilliant challenge by Stretch. Still top of the 18 for Harbor City, taken over now by Tormenta. And they've got a chance with some numbers going forward. Nianjo to the left, he'll be the target. Rolled into his path. That one rolling fast, out for a goal kick. Let's look back on this chance. One of the first major chances, moments after I said there hadn't been one.
And now it's the wide space for Harbor City. and just being able to play it right across into the space. Nascimento almost gets on it. Great defending from Stretch just to get that last little touch in, get the body position right, and then looking to transition right away off of that was Tormenta.
Callum Stretch in year number 2 now as a professional. Made 29 appearances, had 2 goals and an assist in his first pro season coming out of Loyola Marymount at the college level. That's going to be a free kick going the way of Tormenta. It was a down 2024 year, just finishing 10th place in the USL League One playoffs. They've made the playoffs just one time, and that was in 2022. They won the whole thing. At the League One level, still looking for consistency, driving themselves into playoff spots. Fizzed outside, Nianjo. Alves, Nianjo. Curled into the back post, now attacked. Not quite able to put one towards frame was Taylor Gray, out for a goal kick.
Well, what started the whole play was the change of point, which was really good. It allows them to go 2 against 1 in this space, and then there's just a little bit of a half yard of space to get the cross off. I don't mind this, and Taylor Gray is framing the goal very well, just not able to direct it across for a second opportunity. But I like the variance in the way that Tormenta is attacking. Some of it's short and probing. Now they're starting to spray a little bit more long balls in box entries.
Jonathan Nianjo, who played that ball forward for Taylor Gray. Both guys who were at MLS Next Pro clubs in 2024. Taylor Gray, 3 years with Chattanooga FC, part of their inaugural MLS Next Pro side last year. Jonathan Nianjo spent the year with Crown Legacy after a collegiate career at the Charlotte 49ers. Here's Prepelita. Also a former Chattanooga man with Gray.
Walker's urging Prepelita on to drive into that space because you see them in a 4-4-2 block. You want to draw out the defenders of Harbor City, and a lot of that's done by dribble penetration.
Good work from Madden. Just drew in Tunbridge, kicked it off the Englishman. High five between the two afterwards. Kept in play. Stretch, one to challenge. He will come out now for Tunbridge. He's content with a throw for his side. Into the 6-yard box, and Notar Donato falls on it. Collins, Snell. Drew in some pressure, but that ball is going to spin very kindly. Falls to a black shirt in the midfield. It was Carr who moved it. He'll return it again to Leighton.
And there's been a role that Trey Collins has taken. He's kind of dropping a little bit deeper into midfield. Started more in an attacking midfield position, getting forward, getting in the wide space on the one chance we did see, but that's a playmaker type personality coming back, and it just shifted Carr a little bit higher in midfield as they start to attack.
Saw him picking up spaces in the right-hand side on some of those attacking moves. He's playing almost as a defensive midfielder now.
Yeah, when things like that occur, you wonder if they saw something that was maybe giving them a little bit of trouble, and he's someone who can really settle that for the time being, and maybe they'll switch again.
Ball in there. After a challenge on the wing, it's out for a goal kick. Referee will allow a moment for the player to collect themselves. I think for Collins, his position is where needed. Not midfielder, not forward, it's just where needed.
I think that makes sense, and sometimes you're adapting to the opposition. I think in a game like this, you're doing it even more so because of the possession that has been given by Tormenta so far, and they've gained so much ground in that. So you kind of have to make those changes throughout, and it just maybe changes up the matchup in midfield a little bit that can swing the advantage.
Stretch. Gray. Tunbridge. Stretch. Gray. He's offered a bit of space here. Moves on to his left foot. Strong challenge takes the ball off him. Now Nascimento has a few options, but only finds the center back, Prepelita.
And I think it becomes easy to talk about the possession. It's obvious it's towards Tormenta's favor, but it's really the counter-pressing for me. When they lose possession of the ball, how quickly they're gaining it back. It can be incredibly difficult to play out because of their commitment to win right away and the way in which they're positioned to be able to do so.
Stats to back that up: 67% possession and 76% of the duels have been won by Tormenta. They're winning the 50-50s. Sometimes the ball's just falling their way because they're putting a man on very quickly.
Well, if you're not one of the closest players, the primary players in possession, you're thinking about, okay, how can I help, but how do I need to position myself in case we do turn over the ball in order to gain it back? And that's something that Ian Cameron said they definitely worked on, trying to make sure that their rest defense is a little bit better and they can gain the ball higher up the field when they lose it.
Talked about game 1 against the Richmond Kickers, fell 4-2 to game 2, a 2-0 win against AV Alta. And a bit of an overcorrection in game 2, shutting it down a little early after a pair of early goals from Yaniv Bazzini. He's on the bench today, Bazzini is. That's a foul, bit of an unnecessary one there, and it might be a talking to more than anything else. No extra action. Here's Pack.
The front two of Harbor City are doing a better job of trying to deny Walker, the center midfielder, the ball. That's their job when they rotate and they're on that little bit of a pivot. Early on, he was getting the ball centrally a lot. Now he's having to drift out because their defensive structure has improved.
Nianjo on the switch. Tunbridge trying to get there first. Onto it now is Collins. Mentioned his flexibility and importance early on in this match. He'll receive the return pass from Snell. Sees off one challenge. Trying to slide one forward, under hit. Gets to Alves. Now Nair. Stretch. Gray. Space is out wide, that's where he goes. He rolls it back for Stretch. He's got Walker. Walker steps past one challenge. Clever bit of footwork. Nianjo now popping up in the 18-yard box. Alves fakes one shot with the right foot. It's blocked. Nianjo. Clipped in. It gets to Gray. Rolls it back. It's going to spin to the end line. Gray keeps it alive in play. Vivas. Nianjo brings it down. The low shot in the bottom corner. Keeping the play alive. And Jonathan Nianjo, a first goal for South Georgia Tormenta.
And lots of smiles on the faces of the Tormenta FC players, and as it should be, their work rate to keep the ball in that attacking third is relentless, just continuing to go, new opportunities. I love this little clipped ball in behind. It's not timed well on the jump. Gray keeps it alive, so does Doyle. And then this ball's played back post, just doing anything they can to keep it going, and it's Nianjo who does a great job with the finish, going across frame, letting it drop. That is not easy to finish that with the accuracy that he does.
Assisted by Sebastian Vivas. A year where he had 12 goals, 2 assists, Vivas did. Nianjo off a year where he had just 3 goals and an assist for Crown Legacy. And next pro, he gets his first goal now for Tormenta. The League One side find themselves in front just about halfway through our first 45 minutes.
Well, I think it's well-deserved so far. They have had the possession, they've been dangerous in their possession, and they've been unpredictable. So it is really hard for your opposition to sit in and say they're only going to come through the middle, or they're only going to play long, only going to play short. They've done a little bit of everything, and then there's been a mentality to just keep the ball alive and do what it takes to create opportunities.
Ball over the top. Pack will pick it up. Carr, the ball over the top for Nascimento. Just 2 shots credited so far for Tormenta. Second one being the goal. Big 50-50 there, and Stretch comes out on top. If you look at final third entries, 26-9. Touches in the opposing box, 8-1, both in favor of Tormenta. Here's Harbor City. That's a low ball. Pepperlita there. He got the ball. Clean tackle, says the referee. Nair for a moment thought it was a free kick, and it's turned over. Again, Stretch comes in with a big challenge. Harbor City. Edge of the 18-yard box, now inside the box. Taken over by Tunbridge, who rolls it to Gray. No assist for Taylor Gray, but very involved in that goal just a moment ago. Evades Collins and rolls it back to Pepperlita. Alves, Nyanjo making the run ahead of him. Gets the goal scorer on the ball. 2 in black quickly descend upon him. Walker. Liking the rotations here between fullback, forward, midfielder to keep things moving.
Yeah, it's the unpredictability piece of it, and just creating 3 against 2s, 2 against 1s in the wide area. It becomes incredibly hard to know who's stepping when from a defensive standpoint, because there's so many players that are have the off-ball movement, runs in behind.
Well, here's Harbor City after a poor turnover. That's a poor pass. Just got his feet wrong there. Trey Collins did. That's one he loved back. They had 2-on-2. The third option coming up as well after a poor pass from Mason Tunbridge. Wasn't capitalized on. Stretch. Tunbridge. Cemento takes over, and there's a foul, a clip at the heels, and the pressure relieved. City still trying to build out from the back. Flicked along. Madden, did he keep that in play? Yes, he did. Great work on this touch line. That's going to be a free kick, though, against the fullback. Walker.
And one thing that Harbor City's done really well is when you give up a first goal, you want to settle in right away. The initial emotional reaction is to chase and to want to go forward, get that equalizer, but it's a long game, and what you don't want is it to turn into 2 because it can get out of hand at that point, especially early on in the game. And they've settled in quite well in these next 5 minutes after conceding.
Here's Nyanjo. It's his goal that separates the sides. Vivas. Referee says, get back to your feet. Has been quite stingy with any fouls and keeps that going there. A good chase down tackle from Alves. Doyle. Gray. The return ball. Again, playing a 1-2, this time with Vivas. Great footwork. Nyanjo, point blank saved. Good footwork from Notar Donato to deny the forward a brace.
And I will usually never say this because the finish is the hardest part of the game, but everything he did prior was incredible. Good play in combination, really quick feet to be able to get through another 1-2 right there. Nifty cutback, just not able to get that one across, but it looks like it was Pless coming across to make sure to get that last tackle, just disrupt just a little bit on the finish to help out his goalkeeper.
Going through several black jerseys. Jonathan Nyanjo trying to get a second. Bounce of confidence for him. He had an assist in his first 2 starts. Got a first goal of the season. Now a first corner of the match here at the half-hour mark. Chance for the hosts to try and double their advantage. Curled in. It's a slip in the 6-yard box. It bounces up. It's going to be knotted back into the mix. Pushed up, not away. Prepelita down and into the box. And finally a clearance that will push it away from danger and back to Austin Peck. Stretch. Here's Tunbridge spraying a beautiful ball out. This one knotted centrally. And just no nonsense header out of play by Pless. Concedes another corner kick.
And the run we saw from Nianjo was all central, and what that does is it opens up in the wide spaces, because ultimately your opposition wants to pinch in and go, let's not let that happen again. And Tormenta's really showing some sophistication in how they're manipulating both areas.
For Tormenta. And remember, for every goal scored,
Connor Doyle
Tormenta
standing over this, in-swinging, right-footed corner kick. We saw Noto Donato take a brief spill right in the 6-yard box, so watch that space in and around the goalkeeper on this second corner kick. Whipped in, Prepelita challenging for the header. He got ahead to it at a bit of personal cost. Is out for a goal kick. The center back needs a moment maybe to collect himself. Anatoly Prepelita, the Moldovan center back, 4 appearances for the national team. We'll see him here challenge for this header. Be a slight collision with his opponent. Bit of treatment for Prepelita allows us a chance to look back on the moment that separates these two sides up to this point. Again, the ball just stays inside the 18-yard box and chaos can happen.
It can, and Doyle keeps it alive, and Gray's the one who puts it just into a dangerous area, with Alves giving everything he can to keep it back into the mix, and Nianjo does extremely well with the finish. But what I've liked from Tormenta is that they obviously were rewarded with the finish, but they're just doing whatever it takes in the final third. It looks relaxed and controlled, but also relentless at the same time. That is hard to really find that combination, because sometimes it means you look rushed, but they don't. They just look like they really are hungry, to be able to create chances, and they're doing that.
Thursday match here today for Tormenta. Their next game not for 9 days against Union Omaha. That one at home again before their first road test at Chattanooga. Looks like it's just a nose issue for Prepelita, which don't want to belittle any pain or bleeding he's going through, but much prefer that to any concussion or head issues. So the center back will have to come off for a moment. So for just a brief moment, Harbor City will have an opposing team that is down a center back, down a player, assuming Prepelita intends to come back into the game. Prepelita gets attended to. We're going to have a goal kick in just a moment for Harbor City. Casey's, we have about a little more than 10 minutes plus stoppage time still to go. The stats show a controlling performance from Tormenta, and that's how it's felt so far.
It has felt that way, but at the end of the day, it is only 1-0 at this point, and Harbor City has to bank on that right now and just really try to stay stingy defensively. I think if they go into the half at 1-0, they have to be pretty happy with that. They just don't want it to turn into more, especially with how much possession and how dangerous Tormenta has been.
Had a few forays into the final third, Harbor City have, and they've looked a little dangerous, but they really haven't tested this Tormenta defense. And you would love to do that before it becomes more than just a 1-goal game. If he wants to get into a shootout, We typically bank on the side from the higher division, from League One, South Georgia Tormenta. Looped up for Nienjo, controls it off his thigh, his head twice, and fires a pass out wide for Gray. Great control. The wingers combining. Gray has Tunbridge calling for it on the inside. He opts instead for his fullback stretch.
Nienjo's done a really good job of coming a little bit more inverted into that central area. Taylor Gray staying a little bit more wide as one of the wingers than what Nienjo's doing, but it makes it unpredictable for them. He's doing a really good job of playmaking, but then also being dangerous in the wide space.
Here's Nienjo in a wide space. He has a great first touch. The second plays it to Tunbridge. Just an awkward slip there from him. Worried maybe for a second about any issue for him, but he's back to his feet, his side, having to deal with this counter attack. Nair, the center back, standing up his opponent, turning inside and out, turning himself inside and out, but good perseverance shown. There's going to be a bit of a reaction there. Nair going down. It may have been a hand that caught his face. Let's flash back and see the issue here.
Well, Nair's really on Licor there. Just, you can see the arm right at the end, which I completely understand this being called, but I think he has a case. There's constant grabbing when he's back to goal by the center back Nair, and so I'd be a little bit frustrated too in that moment.
I almost felt like it was advantage being played, the referee letting it be seen out, but then in the end, obviously, the hand going to the face of Nair.
Right. The problem is there's no advantage when you're dribbling backwards, and unless that ball gets moved quickly, but you could tell he was trying to draw the foul in that dangerous area, so it would have been much better if they can put the ball down, serve it into the penalty box, than going backwards away from their goal.
It was Licor who was involved in that duel with Nair. This one a little under hit for Gray. Walker. Pulled forward by Doyle. Alves on the overlap. The left back getting this one a chance to deliver. Delivers it off his opponent Leighton out for a corner.
Fans, this is going to be a corner kick for us. Let's help Tormenta put that ball in the net.
Connor Doyle. For this one. Year number 2, Tormenta for Doyle. Him and Walker, very experienced League One midfielders. Doyle, formerly of Union Omaha. Arcing to the near post, the header down. Was a good chance there for Sebastian Vivas, just couldn't get proper contact. Tormenta possession has risen to 75%. Collins waiting for options to present themselves. Nascimento was offside and the free kick given. There's Prepelica back out on the field. He's wearing the number 30 now, so just keep an eye on that. Still the same center back, new number for Prepelica, and it was almost a forgotten side note there, Casey. They were playing quite some time down a man.
They were, and they handled it really well. Stretch just went inside to more an inside role at the center back, and they figured that out. But when you keep the ball, it doesn't become much of an issue. And we're even seeing that when Harbor City had the ball, there just weren't a lot of numbers forward where they're able to really do anything threatening going through that center back.
Returned to Nair. Nascimento puts a foot in. It rolls, though, for Tunbridge. Drops a shoulder and skips past 2. He's got Nienjo to his left, waiting for the run. Rolls it forward. Nienjo. You can see he was almost waiting for the flag to go up. He was trying to hold that run, but maybe one touch too many from Tunbridge.
It was really close in that moment, but you can see what happens when they break out in transition. Lots of runs above the ball, and you know Ian Cameron has to be happy with that as the manager for this team. Not just possession, but possession with a purpose that's dangerous going forward. They get that timing right, it can easily be 2-0.
Tunbridge trying to make a big leap in year number 2, creating that chance carrying through the midfield. 3 goals, 3 assists last year. Not the numbers he or Ian Cameron talking to us about his development they're looking to get for the midfielder. He put a lot of work in the offseason. He's got 2 goals already, and he's been dangerous in the first half against Harbor City. Nascimento. Nascimento wants a foot race with Gray, but the flag goes up again. A couple offside going against the winger.
And that can be a little frustrating because I can understand the first one, he's more in the inside channel. There he can see across the whole line, so that timing has to be just a little bit better. I like the aggressive first touch if it hadn't been offside to try to get in behind the back line. But Harbor City, a little bit better spell of possession there, some rotations in midfield, and able to keep it through the center backs, which bodes well for them if they can continue to do that throughout the game.
4.5 minutes plus stoppage time remaining in our first 45 minutes. Tunbridge gets ahead to it. Gray returns it to Tunbridge. Taking off his foot. Rolled forward. Big challenge put in by Prepelita. Good to have him back and able to deal with the issue. Looked to be with his nose after a corner kick. Nair. Walker. Dropping back Doyle, offering an option. Gray.
We're starting to see some more rotations. Stretch went into midfield a little bit with Doyle coming into the outside channel. So you can see where Tormenta is trying to have some variance in the way that they're building in this create phase. And that was something that's really important to their side, is just really taking care of the ball, but doing it in different ways.
Gray. Another great challenge there from Bobby Madden, who has been a bit of a lockdown fullback at times, putting in some good challenges. That touch a little heavy in the midfield, but good recovery. Snell, Nascimento, Carr, Madden, Collins. Throw now for Tormenta. Prepelita, big ball forward, aiming for Gray. The header knotted down. Collins wisely back to his center back. Donato, anywhere will do, and he puts it in the stands.
And I think it can't be stated enough that Collins has had a really big role since he's dropped into that deeper position, covering a lot of ground. I think he has the athleticism to be able to hang with those players that are in there, and he's really controlling things from a defensive standpoint. You can control the game without the ball, and he's having to do that for Harbor City, and when they do win the ball, just be really simple. And I think that's a big reason why the gap isn't wider right now.
Stretch. Back to Prepelita. Tunbridge. Dropping the deepest of the midfielders, the attacking mid. Good footwork. This one clipped in. Collins able to get there first. Cleared up field. Final minute of regulation. Elsewhere, Portland up 2-0. Forward Madison over 10-man Duluth up 1-0. Still scoreless as we near halftime between the Rough Riders and the Independents. Kickoffs between Cincinnati 2, Carolina Core, Soda City. Those matches. It's about 15 minutes down elsewhere. Stretch, driving into some space. Swings it across, aiming for Nianjo. Just too heavy for the winger, who has the lone goal of our game so far.
I don't like to fault people for being unselfish, but it was almost a little bit too unselfish. It would have had to have been technically picture perfect to spring Nianjo in that moment. And Stretch has been really good on the ball going forward. You almost want to see him reward himself with an opportunity on frame.
A little overzealous in the challenge by Alves, and it's a free kick. Notar Donato. So entering now to 4 minutes of stoppage time. Just a poke there by Nianjo as the core was dribbling upfield. Most of that stoppage, injury enforced. Anatoly Prapelita dealing with an issue with his nose. The goal celebrations as well. Jonathan Nianjo, the lone goal of the match, assisted by Sebastian Vivas. Poked out, throw. Not too often you see it thrown off of your teammate's back, but it's done there. Top of the box, referee says no foul. Now a chance for Tormenta to capitalize. Rolled through the middle, a brilliant pass for Stretch. Lays it off again, the shot top of the box, parried over by Notar Donato. End-to-end action results in a corner for Tormenta. How about that?
And this was the transition to attack for Tormenta FC. Going was Tunbridge. Stretch was a great run through the middle, just through the heart of the defensive unit. And then look at the composure to be able to find his teammate right there, and a save by Notar Donato. I think they would have felt a little hard done by if that one goes in, because it certainly looked like there was a foul at the top of the penalty box.
There was a lot of contact. Referee said no foul. That was a brilliant run from Callum Stretch. You mentioned his movement and his impact on this first half. Picked out that space, picked out the pass. That ball in the box gets to the back post, cleared away. It was a shot by Sebastian Vivas, who has an assist, trying to get a goal himself.
And our center official certainly had positioning in that moment. It just really looked like there may have been a little bit of an extra push there with back to goal, but nonetheless continue to play, and they were really lucky not to concede in that transition moment.
That will be a free kick. Walker threatening to take it quickly. He'll leave it for Doyle. And with 2.5 minutes now down of stoppage time, we have maybe one of the last chances to try and extend this lead for Tormenta as they move some numbers forward. For a set piece, Prepelita took some damage on a set piece earlier, not putting himself in the mix. Connor Doyle to the back post, over everybody, out for a goal kick. Mention it about our halftime of the first half analysis, that 1-0, despite the dominance from Tormenta on the stat sheet and throughout the match, 1-0 I think favors Harbor City, where you're fighting this game still.
It does, and I think they've done a really good job of not actually forcing going forward too much, because the longer the game goes on, they can take those risks a little bit more. You want to stay in the game, give your team a chance. They've given up that goal somewhat early in the 23rd minute, and they've held in there. So if you get into halftime here, I think they're sitting in a pretty good spot, and they would feel good about it.
30 more seconds of stoppage time than any additional at the discrepancy of the referee. Pack. Nair. Tunbridge. He's been very involved in this first half. He clips one over the top, aiming for Nianjo. Maybe one last chance for the hosts. Nianjo creeping onto the right foot. Bit more space now. Low shot, and that's just wide. Almost doubling things right on halftime. It was the final kick of the first half. Casey, your final thoughts?
Well, Nianjo has been a handful. Not only got the goal, but he's doing a lot in the wide areas. I think it's a really professional approach from Tormenta FC. They'll want another goal, but Harbor City has found a way to stay in this and keep it close.
Kept it close. Just the one goal separating these two sides up to this point. A competitive first half between South Georgia Tormenta and Harbor City. At the break of the Lamar Hunt US Open Cup, it's Tormenta 1, Harbor City 0.
Tormenta fans, you're watching History in the Making tonight. The 110th edition of the annual Lamar Hunt US Open Cup, the nation's longest running soccer tournament ever. Now let's talk about the Lamar Hunt US Open Cup. Organized by the U.S. Soccer Federation, the Open is comprised of 96 teams. And there are 64 teams from all three professional tiers, along with 32 amateur teams, all competing for a $1 million purse. Los Angeles FC of the MLS is the defending champion, having defeated Sporting Kansas City 3-1 for the 2024 title. And speaking of Los Angeles, did you know that the Maccabi Los Angeles FC from California and Bethlehem Steel FC from Pennsylvania have each won 5, count them 5, U.S. Open Cup championships, more than any other team. In honor of Maccabi and Bethlehem, those will be the names of the two teams who will compete on the pitch in just a minute. Now, if you don't remember Lamar Hunt, he is universally recognized as one of the greatest sportsmen in American history. Hunt developed the NASL and was inducted into the U.S. Soccer Hall of Fame in 1982. In 1999, the U.S. Open Cup was renamed to the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. The Hunt family owned the Kansas City Wizards and claimed the 2000 MLS Cup. They also owned the MLS Columbus Crew, as well as the world champion NBA Chicago Bulls and the NFL's Kansas City Chiefs. Now, we're proud to welcome tonight to the Harbor City FC from the United Premier Soccer League based in Melbourne, Florida. Did you know that despite the 96 teams being entered into the 2025 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, that Georgia's only representative is your South Georgia Tormenta FC? And if you're wondering if the USL team could ever overcome an MLS team to win the title, well, the USL's Rochester Raging Rhinos won the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup in '99, and 3 other USL teams have lost in the championship final match. Now, let's turn our attention to the 2 groups representing Maccabee ACFC wearing yellow and Bethlehem Steel FC wearing blue, who are currently tied 5-5 in the most won Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup championship. Each player will get 2 kicks, and the team that scores the most goals will become the all-time standalone champion of the 2025 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Are we going to be able to put it in the net? Let's see. Let's have the kick. Oh, it just heads off the side. That was Liam shooting for McAfee. Rashad is going to be taking our next shot. Let's see it. What you got there, Rashad? Oh, went with the finesse kick, but again sailed it wide. And again, it must be the wind. It's got to be the wind carrying. They're all going to that direction. All of those kicks sail wide. Who do we have next? For McAfee next, we have Cameron. Let her rip, Cameron. Oh, it just hung right on the front. And both of those are in. 2 goals. Next up, we have Evan shooting for Bethlehem. Evan, let her rip. Oh, Williams scored it, but into the wrong goal. Let's let Evan have one more shot. Come on, Evan. Line it up. You've got this. Oh, just sailed it wide. Good try. Unfortunately, that goal will not count for McAfee. And our last shooter is Tony. Tony, let her rip. They keep going off to that side. Caven is our last shooter for Bethlehem. Caven, let her rip. Oh, it just sailed wide. One more shot. And now it's off to the other side. McAfee is your all-time standalone 2025 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup champion. Stand by for some awesome Tormenta gear. And thanks for the best fans in the sport. And welcome back to the pitch, your Tormenta FC.
A few moments away from our second 45 minutes at Tormenta Stadium between South Georgia Tormenta FC and Harbor City FC. Alongside Casey White, I'm Jack Edwards here with you in the broadcast booth. Round one of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. We can look at our first half highlights between these two teams. The stats really swing heavily in favor of Tormenta, but there were some early half chances, if you want to call them, for Harbor City.
Early on, they did try to get into the penalty box more. That ball played in by Collins, just nothing to come from it. But in the 23rd minute, Taylor Gray would keep this alive with Doyle, a good cross to the back post area, and Vivas just gets ahead on it, finds Nianjo, and a great left-footed strike to the back post, and that would give them the lead.
Just lets that one fall onto his left. A first goal for Tormenta since joining in the offseason, and he was heavily involved. A few 1-2s here. Gets one-on-one, a good save in the end.
There has been a lot of bright spots for Tormenta, but Nianjo has been a big one. Just some nifty footwork in there, not able to put the finishing touches on it. Then in transition, look at this run. That's a right back. That stretch going through the middle, finding Vivas on this side. It goes over the top. A good save in the end from Notar Donato.
for a bunch of good opportunities. And you're seeing a lot of Nianjo here just driving one-on-one. This was the final touch, I believe, of our first half. Gets it onto his right foot, and in the end, that one's not too far away from making it 2-0. Well, here are your stats. Most important one, of course, 1-0, but you see no shots credited for Harbor City. Possession heavily in favor of Tormenta. The only saving grace, it's just 1 in that top stat in the top left.
And I think if we're going to be picky about anything, it's just the generation of shots out of the amount of possession that Tormenta has had. But they've looked really in control, really comfortable. But I think they'll look to increase that shot count here in the second half and try to extend their lead.
We were talking before, well, during halftime, Casey, just about the other Open Cup games we've seen and we've watched. This is a very complete performance so far for Tormenta. Still halfway there. They need to earn the right. It's something that Ian Cameron talked about in the build-up to this match. Interesting to see where the second half goes, but they've looked great so far. Well,
with the dominance in stats, it's obvious that they've had a good first half performance, but I even think just watching all the tactics behind it, they've looked composed, they've attacked centrally, they've attacked in transition, they've attacked wide. Like, there is a level of variance and sophistication that's been really good. They haven't been overly rewarded for that, just having the one goal, with how good it actually has looked to our eyes as we're watching this game. So it's a little bit of scary times because you want that to turn into multiple goals and not take your foot off the gas.
If we look at the biggest cup set last night, we mentioned it earlier on in the broadcast, Little Rock taking down the USL Championship side, Birmingham Legion. We have our first whistle of our second 45. In black from left to right will be Harbor City, in the white from right to left, Tormenta. Joseph Perez in for Anatoly Prepelita is the lone change to tell you about. Prepelita, a bit of a nose issue. He's brought off. Change made there as Pack receives this one in the 6-yard box. But the match, Little Rock, Birmingham, there was a few opportunities for Birmingham to take a lead in the first half. The game stayed close, 0-0. A great wonder goal from Little Rock, and the side from Arkansas saw it out. So Tormenta, no, and that's probably Ian Cameron's halftime talk right there. Great half, guys. Still just one goal. They're right in it. You got to get that second one.
You want your team to stay hungry. You don't want them to settle in and say, okay, yeah, we'd be fine with the 1-0 win, but why make it that difficult when we've established 72% possession? That has to turn into more opportunities on frame and has to turn into more goals. So you're thinking about not only this game, but how your team is going to continue to develop and approach games as they go throughout their season as well.
Pack rolling this one out. It's Perez, the lone halftime change, making his debut for Tormenta, joining from Chattanooga FC in the offseason. 54 appearances, 2 assists in MLS Next Pro and NISA over the last 2 years. Tunbridge lets it run and rolls it to Vivas in the box. A shot, that one parried just wide. Another big-time save by Notar Donato to keep things 1-0.
That is 2 passes under control to break lines to get into the penalty area, which is really nice. And it's stretching it on the right side, gets out of pressure, finds Tunbridge, and he's on the half turn, takes that quick look over his shoulder, able to take an aggressive first touch, the slip ball into Vivas, and he just lifts it. I think if you keep that lower, it's going to be a much harder save, but credit the defender for coming across and shutting down the angle.
Tormenta resuming where they left off in the first half, controlling things. A few set-piece opportunities, low to the near post, scraped along, called off and left there. This one sliced out to the far side for Gray. The winger does well to keep it in play, trying to show off a bit of skill there, popping it past his opponent. Got a toe in to keep it alive. This one chipped up forward. Nianjo leaves it. Return there attempted. It's just cleared away. Stretch won the initial header, but it falls to Reed. Don't say Mitchell Reed's name too much. The forward not terribly involved. That's a poor turnover from Collins, who did have a good half. Now Tunbridge with 3 in white in the initial attack here. Tunbridge, a step over, trying to roll it in for Vivas. They're looking to the assistant for offside. They won't get it. Gray gets the ball now. To the back post. Nianjo, a header, down. Finding a teammate, and the shot just over. But a few shots in the early stages of the second half.
What started this entire sequence was that turnover in midfield by Collins. Those are going to be times of the game that they can't afford to do that because Tunbridge is able to go forward. They do keep it alive with Gray finding the back post area. Nianjo rises above to continue to keep it going. It falls to Tunbridge, just doesn't let it drop quite enough to be able to direct it on goal. Big
bounce there, left by Perez. Here's Gray. Trying to squeeze it through a challenge. Not able to. Knocked up field. Nair. Alves. Again, Tunbridge on the half turn in the midfield, rolls it out wide this time for Alves. Low delivery, pushed away. This one stays in play, flicked along by Leighton. Nianjo. That's going to be a free kick against the Tormenta man. You heard a shout of, wait, what? You see a very confused Ian Cameron as well.
And that was incredibly strange. And LaCour had a few moments in the first half where we thought he could have had some calls in his favor, but he comes in late. He initially fouls, and then they call it Nianjo for it the opposite way because it looked like a weird tangle up. That's a very strange call.
Referee a lot closer to the action than we are, but definitely odd to see the defender come in. The two players both go down, and the attacker get ruled for the foul, but it's right back with Tormenta. First touch there. Not escaping Gray, who does very well in the press. Gray has done a good job on that right wing, also tracked back almost as a right wing back at times, doing a very good job on that far side of the field. Gray, 27 years of age, receives this ball. Coming off a year with Chattanooga where he was very creative. 4 goals, 9 assists in MLS Next Pro. Creates a lot of chances, a very tricky player to deal with on the far side of the field.
Well, when you have Nianjo and Gray doing really well in the wide channels, it then opens up the central area. There were times where Walker wasn't able to get on the ball in the middle of the half, so they started going wide a little bit more. Now they have to respect the wide areas. Now Walker's getting on the ball more. Tunbridge is getting on the ball more centrally. Just a lot of weapons on this team in the attacking sense.
Collins swarmed by 2 in white. It's taken over by Gray. The outside of the foot pass intercepted. Now Alves. Few options in front. The turn by Tunbridge couldn't quite bring it with him, and it's just pushed away. No nonsense by the captain, Leighton, out for a throw. Tunbridge back to Alves, the throw-in taker. Tunbridge, again, a great turn. Out for another corner kick. That will make it 6 corners now. 6-0, the corner edge for Tormenta. They've led in every stat. Still no shots for Harbor City. Over 70% possession for Tormenta. Talked about it during halftime, though. Still just the 1-0 Can change in an instant. Trying to add insurance here with a 1-goal lead. Right in the 6-yard box. That was Vivas who got ahead to it to turn it back towards goal. Knocked wide. Doyle back into the 18-yard box, pushed away with 2 efforts, only finds Walker. Perez. Walker. Gray. Pass mishit.
We talked a lot about Collins in midfield, but I think Snell as well has sounded really good throughout the game and has done really well in possession. He has a lot of pressure on him, and he's able to keep it. I think if they can find his feet a little bit more, it'll allow them to build numbers forward. Collins is having to do a lot of the heavy lifting, and then Reed up top has a lot of pressure on him when he gets it. If Snell can become more involved, they can start to get players higher.
Nascimento trying to keep that ball in play on the far side, not able to with the header. Walker turns. Perez trying to get out of his feet, taken away. Now here is Snell. He's got a bit of space at the edge of the 18-yard box. Now inside the box, it's taken over by Perez, who pokes it out for the first corner of the match now for Harbor City. Not too many touches in the attacking 18-yard box, but this one leads to a set piece.
Well, and these are moments that you have to make sure you're very organized. No need to rush this for Harbor City because their chances are few and far between right now. So make sure the runs are right, make sure they're timed well, and the service has to be accurate.
Just 2 touches in the opposition box for Harbor City FC through 53.5 minutes. But if they can get a crucial third one here towards goal, it could change the entire complexion. Delivery too heavy. Gray under it. His touch pressed by Leighton. Rolls it forward for Vivas. Now here's Nyanjo. Game a little stretch now after the corner. Tunbridge cleverly evades it, but the ball going to run too fast for Perez. It's out for a throw. Gray. Tunbridge. The 1-2, return to Tunbridge. Not able to get there first. Good work by Harbor City in the defense, playing out from the back, being pressed quickly. That counter press, incredibly fast from the host. That pass blocked. It falls in the midfield. That touch a little heavy. Referee will call for a foul there and will avoid the ability for Tormenta to drive at the defense. The free kick for Harbor City.
And Harbor City connected a few good passes in that moment. You can see Collins had the turnover but won it back right away, and they're avoiding pressure pretty well in that middle third. It's only been 10 minutes, so we're not really seeing them come out of their shape too much, but as we go, they're going to start going forward more.
Ball over the top. Flag goes up for offside. "55 minutes down, in case you're just joining us. These two sides facing off in the first round of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Tormenta from the USL League One, Harbor City qualifying through the Open qualifiers, going to the 4th round, taking down FC America on penalties after a 0-0 draw coming from the Florida Central Zone of the United Premier Soccer League. Fighting for a spot in the 2nd round. Tormenta, this is their 6th tournament appearance. It's knotted down. Perez will get there first. And he'll just see it out of play for a throw. And with that throw, it allows a chance for some substitutions to be made on this near side of the field. Mitchell Reed will make way, as will Jordan Snell. Andrew Bennett and Derek Notar-Donato comes in. Derek Notar-Donato becomes the 2nd Notar-Donato on the field, alongside Bryce in net. Seems pretty like for like. Andrew Bennett and Notar-Donato both started in the final qualification match against FC America back in December. Bennett in the midfield, Notar-Donato up front, taking off a striker and a center mid. Pretty like for like change there.
Yeah, I think so. I'm a little surprised to see Snell come off. I think he's actually been a bright spot in midfield and just looks comfortable in possession, buzzes around a little bit. But you never know with minute restrictions and things like that what's going on there for the managers and why those decisions are made.
Fitness a big point for both teams. Obviously just match number 3 on the year for Tormenta, still figuring out their fitness as the season progresses. But also Harbor City, their regular season debut in the UPSL will be on the 23rd, so a few days from now. But still getting their playing legs under them as they get back into action. Challenge put in, a little too heavy. Longer spells of possession we've seen all game for Harbor City. It's moved out to the near side, cross blocked. Mario Licor trying to put one in. Not able to get past Gabriel Alves. Into the box now. Lamar having a crack. It's a first shot, sliced wide, goal kick. Mentioned it a few times, Casey. The longer this game goes on at 1-0, you feel like Harbor City, despite by our estimations being dominated against in the early stages, really can grow in confidence.
I think so too. And then you start to get to the last 15, 20 minutes. Are there some changes to put a little bit of a different look against Tormenta if it stays 1-0? Do you get your wingers higher? Do you get your outside backs higher? Do you go to a two front against the two center backs and play a little longer? There just might be some options that they can look at if they can keep this game nice and tight as they get into those waning minutes of the second half.
Gray. Poked back to Nair. Left-footed delivery, headed away. One for Gray to give chase to, one for Robbie Madden to see out for a throw, quickly taken. Under a lot of pressure, rolling it off there was Carr. Good movement there from Layton to open up an angle. Now here's Ian Layton, the right back. Some room to drive into. Core quickly pressed. This pass slightly off for Collins. Nair.
One thing I'm noticing from Tunbridge in the midfield, he's really had a pretty free role today, but it's under control. It makes sense. He rotates low to get the ball at times. He stays high between the lines, and I've liked his composed approach to the game, but it looks like he's trying to dictate play, and I think that's really important for Tormenta, and you can see why he's having a good start to the year for them.
Near side, Nianjo on the right, hooked away. Touch there from Nascimento. If it was a bit tighter, could have potentially driven a counterattack forward. It's out for a throw now for Tormenta. Just past the hour mark. 9-1 the shot ratio goes now. See top right of your screen. Band bringing some volume, the drums. A constant bit of background noise to this match as Tormenta try and make it back-to-back wins at home. Out for a goal kick now.
That's really nice 1v1 defending right there too. And they were calling for the offside there because it looked like Collins came from an offside position, but the referee seemed to just continue play on.
Yeah, may have taken a deflection not off a Harbor City player, so may have been in an offside position, but not where it was a pass played to him.
Correct. Yeah, he had good positioning to see that in that moment, but still good 1v1 defending. It's so hard when you're in your own penalty box. You kind of feel this rush that you've got to get the ball back, and sometimes you just have to show that little bit of patience, let it go over the line, and they definitely showed that in that moment.
Just jump around the country. Portland Hearts of Pine nearing a 4-0 win. The final stages of that. Ford Madison still up 1-0 over 10-man Duluth. The Rough Riders have taken a 1-0 lead on the Charlotte Independence on a foggy day. 67 minutes there. It's Cincinnati 2. It's New York Freedom still 0-0 in that match. Carolina Core with a 1-0 halftime lead over Soda City. Tacoma Defiance, back to that in a moment, is Gray, top of the box, rolls it off. Returns to Gray. He leaves it. The dummy may not have been fully understood there by Walker. It was a clever idea. Here's Perez. It's going to be a foul from behind. Just 2 games still to go after our current matches. Tacoma Defiance against Washington AC. Flatirons Rush against Union Omaha in a postponed game. That'll be taking place tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern. To round out the first round, winners will try and continue the good times in early April. Round 2 happening between April 1st and 2nd. Before we get some new blood in the 2025 edition of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Poked away. Alves. Lofted. Nianjo. Returns to the winger, the goal scorer in our match today. Doyle. Tunbridge. The run forward from Alves rewarded by the midfielder. Trying to fire to the feet of Nianjo, couldn't quite get it there. Bit of jersey pulled. Whenever it makes that visible ripple, you can tell it's an easy one, and when it's that close to the referee, not one you miss.
About a yard away. That's not one that's probably not going to work, but it does slow down the play. And Collins, we've seen him in so many areas today. We saw him out on the right side, more attacking mid-roll. Seen him in holding in. Now he's pressing up top for Harbor City. So definitely a jack of all trades that's really being relied on to do different things for this Harbor City team throughout the game.
The captain, Leighton. Knocked down for Gray. He returns it to Perez. You can almost see a press trigger be put in there by Harbor City, but they break through the press well, finding the feet of Walker.
It's just too disconnected, too much space between the lines, and the angle of pressure letting them outside really hurts them in that moment.
Gray. Nianjo tries to play a cutting pass. First time by Alves, under hit. Great flick along by LaCour. Now a bit of space to drive into. LaCour keeps his run going to offer the option near side. Collins just rolls one into the channel. First opportunity there for Derek Noto-Donato to get involved in the action. He's coming on as a center forward. Pass running too heavy, not able to keep it in play. I mentioned Open Cup scores a moment ago. 10-man Duluth have made it 1-1 between them and League One rival of Tormenta, the forward Madison. Referee playing advantage. Good strength shown by Carr. He swings one. Header steps in to win it. Nianjo.
And Carr and Bennett have actually done a pretty good job sliding into those holding mid rolls right there, which has allowed Collins to be a little bit higher up the field. It's just those final details, and you can see the back line of Tormenta retreat. They understand reading the pressure, reading the service, and are able to clean it up. It just seems really hard to be able to penetrate that back four.
Perez. Big ball to the back post. Kept in play by Vivas. Good touch down by Doyle. Will it bounce kindly for him? It bounces kindly for Nianjo. The shot. First time trying to find that bottom right corner. Just wide.
It's 100% the right choice, though. Bending it, curling it, trying to sneak it in that far post. Doyle keeps it alive. It bounces down. Good challenge right there, and it's not cleared. Nianjo taking it in the first time. Nothing Noto-Donato could have done in goal if that had been technically executed.
Replay angle seems so close to just nesting that bottom right corner. That's a foul from behind by Sebastian Vivas. The Argentine got the assist on the Nianjo goal. Doyle trying to provide the chaos to platform a second goal for the winger. Out of play, it's a throw. Nascimento couldn't keep it in play. Waiting for someone to put some pressure on him.
Well, and that's where experience comes in as a goalkeeper too, because you can tell Harbor City is just trying to keep it 1-0 as long as they can and look for a potential opportunity, a set piece, a transition moment. He says, I'm not going to rush it then if you're not going to come out and pressure.
Tunbridge. Return to him. Nair. Alves pointing away from him. He wants it played along. Ball forward by Stretch. Callum Stretch, not mentioned it, really has been slid into a center back role since Pepperleach's halftime sub, so less of a rangy dribbler and mover up the field. Joseph Perez, the halftime substitute, moved into that fullback role. Nianjo, out of nowhere, gets to it first and able to get a few touches to keep play going. Gray, Nianjo, low shot across frame. And that one goes all the way across. We'll have a substitution for this goal kick.
Multiple substitutions now for Tormenta. Bazzini, Dre, and Reed Stephen.
3 subs coming in. Niall, Reed, Stephen, Alon Dre, and Yaniv Bassini all coming into the match. Subs 2, 3, and 4 for Tormenta. They try and see out this result and head to the next round of the competition. Keep the streak under Ian Cameron going of first match wins in the Open Cup. Mason Tunbridge, a great day for him, making way, as will Vivas, as will Nianjo.
Well, all 3 players coming off very influential in this game. 2 of them on the stat sheet, and Tunbridge just in midfield dictating play. I think he's been really active and lively so far.
Yaniv Bazzini coming off the bench. A very exciting signing for this Tormenta side, coming out of the college ranks at Tormenta. And Cameron mentioned he was a bit of a late addition after training with some USL Championship sides in the preseason. Ended up getting his opportunity for his first professional contract. That's a header in the box. We'll go over the goal for a corner kick. We'll get back to Bazzini in a moment. I'm sure to get some touches in the final 20 minutes, the Israeli forward.
Well, the last time they got a corner kick in the second half, the service wasn't quite where it should be. They need to try to whip this right into the 6-yard box, make it really hectic if they can, because last time it was a little bit too far out and easily cleared.
Appears to be the man who will take. He's got 5 in and around the 18-yard box. That one out swinging, and again now on 2 set-piece plays. Just underwhelming delivery.
I just don't think it makes sense to go with an out swinger there unless you're going to go for the back post area. It allows more time for the runners to get in.
Bit of dribbling. Referee will signal for a free kick this time. And it's going to be for simulation.
LaCour can't believe his luck. He's had a tough day of it, trying to go here, looking to draw the foul, and it does look like there's no contact in that moment, so can't fault the referee there. He's trying to make something happen, does go down and gets caught.
Music to LaCour's ears when he went down saying, I want a free kick, and he looks over and the referee is pointing his finger to the ground in several spots saying he feels he's gone down a little easy multiple times.
It does make you wonder, right, Jack, about those first few, because a few of them did really look like he had been fouled in that moment, but that one was pretty obvious, and they have the better view.
Gabriel Shelton coming into the match. O'Hara, Gabriel Shelton coming into the match. But it's on LaCour. It was to be just one time too many. He went down a little easy, but there was contact on some of the first half situations where we thought, you know, it wasn't diving, it just may not have been a foul. that one definitely was lighter contact. You can understand the referee's decision on that one.
It wasn't. I don't fault him for trying to make something happen. Maybe one more touch, they would have been converging on him. It would have been a little bit more about drawing contact. There was just still a lot of space there. It was obvious he went down pretty easily.
4 subs apiece for the two teams. Over the top. Reed Steven, one-on-one with the keeper. A shot, and it's 2-0. Is that the result that sends them to the second round? South Georgia Tormenta 2, Harbor City 0.
Well, this is exactly what you expect later in the game, getting a little bit more forward as Harbor City. This is in transition, winning the ball here and looking to play a little bit more direct. It's a great run from the inside channel into the wide space by Reed Steven. Takes some great touches inside and not shutting down the near post and taking advantage of it. A very good finish off the left foot.
Notar Donato went low, wanted to cover that bottom right corner, any low finish, and he opted to lift it near post area. It makes it 2 goals to nil. We talked about 1-0 dangerous, 2-0. They call it the most dangerous lead in the sport, but in this instance, it feels twice as good for Tormenta.
It really does. They've had the possession. They've dominated in that category, and there just haven't been a lot of opportunities going the other way for Harbor City. So I really feel like their hope was to keep it at 1-0 and continue to try to get set pieces. But I want to talk a little more about that finish. Reed Steven, a lot of times you put your head down because you want to go far post there. I like that he had the ability to change when he saw Notar Donato go down a little bit. He changed in that moment and realized he had the near post.
Misses great pressure. Walker picks the pocket of his opponent, cuts it back. Reed Steven, his first touches were the dribble and the goal. That one a bit looser. I think he's got credit in the bank after a really good finish there. Reed Steven, the Barbados international, made 20 appearances for the national team, scoring 11 goals. A 2024 year where he played in the NPSL and for Asheville City in the USL League 2. A bit of footwork there from Shelton. Low ball. He's got a man in the box. It's blocked. Closed down quickly. Derek Notar Donato in the 18-yard box. Reed Steven in his college days at Florida Gulf Coast and Chicago State University. Made 2 starts in the first 2 matches of the season. Picked up an assist and off the bench in game number 3. Goal number 1 for Tormenta. There. Gray, good footwork, picks it up, moves it out to Doyle. Alves.
And again, something that's been really stifling has just been their counter pressing. Anytime Harbor City does defend well and tries to clear it, they are sending 2 and 3 players to the ball, and just suffocating in that area. And that makes it incredibly hard for Harbor City to build. And I think that's been a real big part of their success this evening.
Gray. His coach Ian Cannon right behind him looking on. Walker. No free kick, but it does roll to Bazzini. Bazzini, that time it will be a foul. And the striker, we talked about him a bit ago, coming out of Vermont. A fantastic season with the Catamounts going all the way to the title game, winning an NCAA title. Coming off a summer as well in the USL League 2.
And Bazzini does well just to get in the half space and looks to immediately take on. There's no question in his mind what he wants to do. That's a player that's playing with confidence and draws the foul.
Bazzini played in the Open Cup before, despite this being a first pro contract, played for Vermont Green, part of one of the really fun stories of the 2024 U.S. Open Cup. He scored in their second game when they were eliminated after having a cup set early on against Lexington. Reed Steven has his left foot over this free kick. He may be thinking about going for goal. 1 on the day for Reed Steven. The shot makes it 2 for him, 3 for Tormenta. Used the wall to his advantage. Placed the keeper the wrong way. Tormenta 3, Harbor City 0.
This is incredibly clever in this moment for Reed Steven. The wall is set. Donato goes to the wrong side on that one because if it's a right-footed ball, the wall's set on that left post so you can see and you can have a vantage point to block it. Reed Steven knows that with his left foot, bends it around the wall, and there's just no way to see that in that moment.
The wall was well organized there because it was a lot of space for a central free kick.
I think for a left-footed free kick, it probably needs to, that's central, it needs to be set off the other post. It was set off the post more for a right-footed player because that's the danger that you have right there is it would be incredibly hard for Reed Steven to get that up and over the wall to his right shoulder and Noto Donato's left shoulder. So I do think they could have set it off the other one, but you make a choice and then you got to figure it out and ultimately give Reed Steven credit.
Yeah.
He recognized it and he technically put it away when he needed to.
It's one of those things with free kicks where just putting it on target can just make something happen. If the goalkeeper's reaction is even a
100%.
step slow, it can be hard to deal with. If Reed Steven's first goal you thought was going to seal the result, the second one you feel like for sure makes it Tormenta into the next round with a 3-0 edge, and there will be another substitution to happen here. Making way will be Mario Lecor. Coming in will be John Oshakempi. A shot. There's a handball in the process. Shot sliced anyways. Just looking ahead for these two sides, you can see on the billboard on the far side occasionally the USL Jägermeister Cup poster. That action going to be coming up very soon, kicking off April 26th. In a group, Tormenta are with the Charleston Battery, Greenville Triumph, Miami FC, FC Naples, and the Tampa Bay Rowdies. So it begins to trial interleague play between League One and Championship sides before the proposed promotion and relegation of 2028 that, if successful, if implemented in the next 3 years, could really shake up United States soccer. Rolled back to Pack. Not much for the goalkeeper to have to deal with his hands. Much of his work has been with his feet, building out. 82 minutes down. Nianjo 1, Reed Steven chasing this one, has 2. Tormenta look to make it 4 straight years that they'll advance out of the first round.
Well, I think at this point, too, if you're Harbor City, you're trying to keep this as close as possible because they have had some really good spells defensively against a team that has really dominated in possession and have looked like they've been in form. And on the flip side for Tormenta, you have the 3-0 lead, not much time left, but you're thinking about your units, your partnerships as you go into your season. How can you see out this result, but also make sure that you maintain it for 90-plus minutes? That'll be something that a coaching staff definitely harps on.
Here's Gray. Doyle. Taylor Gray moved from right wing to left wing with some of the tweaks made. Just liking that potentially inverted winger situation with Reed Steven on the right-hand side, Gray on the left, with their preferred foot being the opposite. It's a good pass to Gray. Sees off 2 challengers. Can play a simple pass back to Nair. Debuts for Thabo Nair and Joseph Perez in this match today. Nair in the starting lineup, Perez off the bench. Bazzini, first time into the path of Reed Steven. He's on a hat trick. That one going to bounce out of his control. Goes out for a goal kick and a chance for another substitution to take place. It's going to be an opportunity now for Sam Jones coming in for Austin Pack, a goalkeeper change and an opportunity for a professional debut for Jones. The Savannah, Georgia native embraces with the #1 pack. And a nice moment here with a nice 6 minutes for Sam Jones to come in.
I love that. Not only a professional debut, but in Open Cup, that's got to be fun for him.
Pack finishes the day with a clean sheet through 84 minutes. Didn't have to face a shot on target. We'll see if Jones gets tested in the final 6 minutes plus stoppage time. Played forward, Madden keeps it in play. One of the bright spots for this Harbor City side, defensively quite strong against a team that was going against him quite frequently on that left-hand side. That's a foul from behind. Nipping in was Walker. Good strength. No Tardanato. Lofted into the box at the back post, headed along on the volley just over. The best chance of the day falls to Kyle Carr. And as that one dropped to his right foot, he just got under it and lifted it over the goal of Sam Jones.
And this was a good opportunity. It's a good ball to the back post area. Off the back shoulder was Carr. Helps it on right there and able to take it. But because of the recovery of the outside back, not able to let it drop and put it on frame to test Jones. And after speaking to Ian Cameron for Tormenta FC, a shutout is important. They struggled in that first game of league play, giving up 4 goals, and they came back in their second, had a shutout. And so they're going to want to continue to build on that piece. He wanted balance tonight, having the defensive effort, but also the attacking, and so far they've done that.
Gray outside, aiming for Reed Steven. Winger gets to it, looks up, puts a ball in the box, headed up and away. The first attempted clearance doesn't come off. Second one will push it further away from danger. And it was interesting talking to Ian Cameron after or ahead of this match. We talked about the change in perspective, usually coming off with upsets against higher ranked opposition, beating Charleston, Birmingham in 2022, Rio Grande Valley in 2023, Miami FC in 2024 before losing to Charleston, a bit of a revenge match in 2024. And how he knows that when they're the lower side going up against a championship team or an MLS team, the motivation they feel, it doesn't take much to get up and excited for that. And he knew Harbor City would come into that match with that mentality, and they've handled them very well.
And you don't have to manufacture motivation, to your point, when you are the team that is the underdog. It can be very difficult to be the expected winner and to know that you're the person circled on the schedule that a team is coming after. You have to really know your identity, and when you're playing these early games in a season, it's not as solidified as the rounds go on of what your team identity is and are you clicking on all cylinders. So there's definitely a challenge there, and it's good for them to be in that role to be able to handle that moment as well.
All time, this will be an 8th U.S. Open Cup match win for South Georgia Tormenta. 7 of those have come under Ian Cameron, who currently holds a 7-3 record once this match goes final, barring a utterly unprecedented comeback in the final moments from Harbor City. Should be clear there. Alves just sweeps it back and does enough. And Sam Jones, a clearance upfield. Jones, 31 appearances in his collegiate career for Winthrop. chance in the pro ranks, getting a chance on a pro pitch in the U.S. Open Cup. As Ian Cameron, competition he's beginning to favor, 7-3. And with the next round, not going to be the descendants of the strong sides from the USL Championship in 2024, a real chance, depending on the draw, for Tormenta to see themselves in to another win and try and face off against another championship side or an MLS side if they can continue going along. Into the 90th minute now. Bazzini challenging for it. Reed Stephen gets to the ball first. Good fight from both teams in the final stages of a match that appears destined to be a Tormenta victory. Played back by Dre. Nair upfield. Gray gets ahead to it. Jones off his line, brings it in.
And Harbor City has put more numbers forward. Obviously, it's late in the game with the 3-goal deficit, but more numbers forward, still trying to play, still trying to create something, perhaps try to get a goal. But Tormenta just looks so comfortable in possessions. Very rare that they are giving up possession, and then I do that right there when I say that, of course. Of course that happens when the commentator says it, but they've been really good in possession so far.
Rolled forward. 2 minutes of stoppage time now at the end of our match here today. That was perfect timing.
It really was. Thought I was going to get through the game without that.
Commentator's curse at its apex. But it's going to be a corner now for Harbor City, who love a moment against a professional side, getting a goal. They begin their UPSL season on Sunday against Idea Sport. The shot through a group blocked away. Gray. Able to get his head up. Reed Stephen gets onto it. Gray. Reed Stephen. Just minding the ball. If they don't concede, they will see out this result at 3-0. Upcoming for South Georgia Tormenta, another home match against Union Omaha. A first road test comes in early April. April 5th against Chattanooga. Slotted just before that game will be the next round of the U.S. Open Cup. Wait to see who they draw and who they have to try and fell as they look to make another run to the round of 32, their best finish they've had it in 2022 and 2024. That will do it for our match here today. Controlled from minute 1 to minute 90. South Georgia Tormenta take down Harbor City and advance to the next round of the U.S. Open Cup. A deserved win there, Casey.
I think so. A good effort from Harbor City, but a controlled win, an intentional style of play from Tormenta FC. But not just controlled and intentional, it was dangerous as well, and they converted some great chances.
First half goal from Jonathan Nianjo. Second half brace from Niall Reed Stephen. Let's see how they got into a 3-0 win. South Georgia Tormenta taking on Harbor City FC. It was just keeping the ball in the box. Took them a little while to get this first goal, but a good ball recycled in. Good play by Vivas to keep it alive, and a great finish from Nianjo.
A lot of box entries in that first half and really throughout the entire game. Just relentless pressure. Nianjo with a great finish to the back post, and they would just continue to go, continue to play long. And then with Reed Stephen coming in, this direct ball, it's not just playing it to play it, it's intentional. And he takes that first touch inside on the diagonal with the goalkeeper cheating to that far post, finds the near post for that second goal.
And this free kick just places it. That tiny step by Notar Donato, crucial in the end. 2 goals for Reed Stephen off the bench. 3 3-0. Reed Stephen a brace off the bench. Full-time stats here, Casey, and it underscores the dominance, 72% possession. Some second-half shots for Harbor City, who grew into the game, but Tormenta deserved winners.
They are deserved winners, and Harbor City did grow into the game. All 5 of those shots were in the second half as they started to push a little bit more, but in the end, Tormenta FC was just a formidable opponent to come across.
Aside from USL League One, avoid a cup set here today. They're well experienced in providing cup sets to others. Harbor City, not their day today. It ends in round 1. Good finish from Nianjo to start, a pair of finishes from Reed Stephen to seal it. 3-0. Tormenta takes it. My broadcast partner Casey White, Jack Edwards saying so long from Statesboro, Georgia. Have a great rest of your Thursday night.